Hello and welcome back. Next season of Grand Arena 3v3 is coming up, and you might be wondering which Omicron you should apply next, so I'm making this tier list in the hope that it will help you. Let's start with Tusken Raider. Tusken Raider, when I applied it, I thought it was gonna be really good, a game changer, and it turns out it's not that great. It might be useful if you're like in Rhodium, Chromium or below, but in Kyber, people set teams on defense that don't really allow Tusken to shine anywhere because of the limited damage that he has. He has no stacking, no scaling, and like Wampa, for example. So it just falls short of doing anything useful. He's very vulnerable to anti-revives, which you often find in enemy teams. And for the same reason on defense, he usually doesn't hold because of anti-revive mechanisms. So I would put this as a C, high C tier. Next up we have Triple O and BT1, those two new droids. So I never saw them in action really. They seem to have very high DPS potential. I think once Dr. Afra is released, there will be a really good team in 3v3. Both of their Omicrons only apply in 3v3, so they should work pretty well. His Omicron makes the torture he applies last for 2 turns instead of 1. And if that kills the enemy, you gain a little bit of offense, and both the droids recover health and protection. So that's a decent Omicron, but I for now I would put it as a C tier around here. Maybe it will be better later on once Afra is out. For now, I really failed to see how good that is. 10% stacking offense on a kill sounds nice, but in 3v3 you only have 3 opponents, so you're not gonna stack that much offense, and the healing is also limited. I don't know, that doesn't sound like a great Omicron. Time will tell. BT1 is better. It allows both of the droids, whenever they get a kill, to refresh their cooldowns and gain a little bit of turn meter, so that's a little better. BT still not that great, but refreshing cooldowns could be actually pretty good. You can apply torture again, and if the target already has torture, then you're gonna gain Stacker's Translation. So this Omicron probably, if you had to choose one of them, it would be this one. Okay, next we have Akbar and Leia, the other pair. So those two, they go hand in hand. If you have only one, it's not gonna be that good without the other. Obviously Akbar lead is better than Leia. Like you need Akbar lead before you do Leia, otherwise Leia on her own just doesn't really have a spot to go into. Those Omicrons are great if you're in Chromium League or Rhodium League. Myself, I run them in Kyber League with CLS in the team, but without CLS, that team is just going to get soloed by Nest, and that's the problem in 3v3. CLS, you really need him with 2PO and 3PO on defense in another team, and so they can't go on defense, unfortunately. And on offense, I try to use them, but you can't really take out teams that well either. So I'm probably gonna go same place as those droids. And Leia, she goes as a C tier if you have Akbar. If you don't, you would be a D tier Omicron. Really no use for it. Next we've got Radus. So Radus Omicron is pretty good. In 5v5 it's pretty good. It gives 40% more protection to Rogue One allies. Gives them Spark of Rebellion at battle start, and when Spark of Rebellion is dispelled, they gain a bunch of buffs. So it really increases the survivability of the team. Really makes them a lot sturdier on defense. Like you last longer, which gives you time to reach 100 stacks, and then you can use the Hope ability, which disables protection on all enemies, and then you kill them. So I think that's an A tier Omicron. Even in 3v3 you can put him with something like Jin and K2SO, and you have a solid team that is quite annoying to face. Without the Omicron it can get killed a lot easier, so yeah, I think it's worthy of being A tier. Then we have Asajj. I applied the Omicron. I half regret it. It's actually pretty nice in 5v5. So what it does is it gives more survivability to the Night Sisters. They gain 30% more max health. And then whenever someone dies, Asajj's AoE cooldown is reset. It applies healing immunity, and it reduces the max health and the max defense of the target by 4%, which stacks. So enough deaths, and you basically reduce all the enemies to 1 health, no armor, and then you can completely kill them. Now again, because this is 3v3, you could put her with like Daka and Zombie, but I don't think this Omicron is gonna do a lot in 3v3, so unfortunately that's one of those that only really make an impact in 3v3, in 5v5 and doesn't in 3v3, so I'm gonna put her in D tier here. Now next we have Chiappa. Chiappa is another one of those as well. His Omicron makes you walk alive, gain 30 speed, they deal 40% more damage in the basic, and they are guaranteed to call an assist whenever they use a special. So this is excellent in 5v5. On offense you can actually take out a couple of teams with those, because you get the Terminator train that just doesn't stop going. And fortunately in 3v3 you only have 2 other allies, so you cannot get the Terminator train going with that, and because of that, Omicron is just... It's not completely worthless, but it doesn't really do much. I'm gonna put him here. Talon 5v5 is already a niche Omicron. I know Fatal made a video of, I don't know if he made a video about it, but he used to counter Lord Vader with Traya and Talon Omicron. Her unique makes her stack speed and damage, I think, whenever she targets someone that has pain on them. So you need to run her with Cyan, and obviously in 3v3 you have Nihilus, Cyan, and Traya, and there's no room for her, so she's absolutely... Her Omicron is absolutely useless in 3v3. Next up, Dash. So right now Dash is a top tier character because of the set 4 Datacron with a bonus turn, and I think he's gonna go up all the way up to S tier because the Datacron ensures that the enemy is gonna have to kill Vendor before they can kill Dash. And well, you do that with Dash that takes bonus turns and completely destroys you. Having to kill someone else before you can get to him is very, very, very valuable. So I think right now his Omicron is a must-have in 3v3, at least until set 4 Datacron is gone. Now if you don't have the bonus turn Datacron, doesn't really matter, but if you do, you need the Omicron as well. Okay, next up we have Krennic. That's my biggest regret. I applied it, I thought it was back in the day before set 4 Datacrons. I thought his Omicron would allow Lord Vader to block bounty hunters on defense. It did not, and it's absolutely useless. Like, it's one of the worst Omicrons of the game, so do not apply it. Don't make my mistake. Just leave it alone. Okay, next we have Hondo. Never saw one yet. I know only the ways have geared him up. I think he's gonna be a very good character. He has an ability that looks a lot like Fracture from Thorn. It sets the enemy speed to 0. It's called Capture. With a little subtlety, if you kill the enemy before he has a certain amount of stacks of ransom, he's gonna flee. So your own character can flee the battle and then you're left with one less member. But that's part of his kit. The Omicron makes him gain 25% turn meter for each other scoundrel or smuggler ally at the beginning of the battle. So you can see how good that is in 5v5, right? You can have 4 other allies. 4 times 25 is 100. So you have a character that starts at full turn meter at the beginning of the battle. And then you can fracture someone right from the get-go. And on top of it, it also gives him a bunch of stacks for each turn he takes while the enemy is fractured or captive, I think, something like that. So I think it's 5v5 is going to be really good. In 3v3, I think that's either A tier or B tier. I think it's pretty decent. There's still 50% turn meter with 2 other allies. So not full turn meter, but with a decent speed set, that should still be enough to go first. So it's really going to depend on the rest of his kit, how much damage he has. I know that once all his allies are dead, he gets like a super buff and goes Super Saiyan. So I don't know. I think it deserves A tier, but I don't know. I need to see it in action. So this one is subject to check. Aiden Versio, very good Omicron. You can take out Monmouth class squads in 3v3. They are not as strong as in 5v5. They don't have a technical loop as you do with 2 less members. But I mean, the Omicron, any team that has assist is going to be countered by that. You can also counter CLS, 2PO, and 3PO with it. And if you set her on defense, having the Omicron is also going to make her a lot more annoying to deal with. So I think she deserves a good A tier here. Borderline S tier. It's a very good Omicron. Okay, next we have Chrysanthemum. So Chrysanthemum's Omicron gives him 40% more max protection, and he's already very tanky. And he's become immune to ability block and Kubernetes, which means that he's gonna get to use his dismember ability at the beginning of the battle. Now, this Omicron is, I think it's close to being worthless if you don't have Jabba. But if you do have Jabba, getting this Omicron is gonna make it a lot. It's gonna take a lot more time for your opponent to get rid of Chrysanthemum before he can get to Jabba, which leaves more time for Jabba to ult and hit someone. So I think that's a very good Omicron A tier. Only if you have Jabba. If you don't have Jabba, then it's probably C tier or D tier. Like, you just have a very good tank, but without Jabba, he only really protects Jabba because Jabba cannot be targeted until he dies for the first time. If you put another headcarton lead instead, like Boba or something, your opponent's just gonna go in with something that is more strong to kill Boba, and then the Santan is just gonna get killed right after. So yeah, A tier if you have Jabba. Okay, next you have Luminara. So Luminara got an Omicron. I don't know if you were aware of it or not. It happened on the last patch, I think, and it's a very good Omicron. Very, very good one. It gives her the ability to cleanse all debuffs from all allies, and it has no limitation to Jedi allies or any light side allies or anything, so it cleanses everyone. A bit like Shira teamwork. And then the ability, it's on a heal, right? And so this heal gives heal over time to allies, and when those heal over time proc, they also give you back 20% protection. So that's an Omicron that's also gonna allow to recover some banners at the end of the fight, which is very nice. And if those heal over times are dispelled, it's gonna reduce the cooldown of the ability so that she can heal more often. So very good ability all around. And on the plus side, I checked her gear. Since she's an older character, she doesn't need a single Carbenti to gear up. So if you have an Omicron laying around and you don't know what to do with it, she's a very easy gear, and I think her ability can be very useful in a couple of situations. Now, unfortunately, that's only true for 5v5. 3v3, she doesn't have that much damage, she has low speed, so if you stick her in the team, it already takes up 2/3 of the team slots, and I don't think she's gonna have a room in any decent 3v3 squad. She's a healer after all, so in 3v3 that's only low B tier, probably low B tier, we put her around here, but in 5v5 she probably deserves an A tier spot. Alright, next we have Qui-Gon Jinn, one of my favorite Omicrons. You put him with Anakin and Ki-Adi-Mundi, and you have a monster team on offense. You can take out the Darth Revan squads, you can take out a lot of squads. Of course, not Galactic Legends, right, because they block his Omicron from activating. But that's still a very good Omicron on offense, and even on defense, you set the same team, Anakin and Ki-Adi-Mundi, and you have a very solid defensive team. The other thing that is very nice with him is you can apply this Omicron while he's, I don't know, gear 9 or something, with a good Anakin, and when he dies, Anakin becomes super strong and kills everyone anyway. So very, very good Omicron, definitely S tier material. Now we have Rustico. I'm not even sure what Omicron does, something to do with exposes, but baseline is it's not good this year. Probably still better than Krennic. Krennic is really the worst, but yeah, don't apply it. Okay, Savage Opress. Savage Opress is very, very good. He's unique, makes him gain max health, defense, and whenever he gets hit, he also gains stacks of the same defensive thing that Mace does. So it's not taunt, but it forces the opponent to target him, removing one resilient defense. So if they hit him, he loses 1 stack, and then he counters. So counters are pretty good. Those stacks are also very nice because whenever you hit someone else, he's gonna gain taunt, so it's very intempestive. And the best part is that whenever he gets hit, he's gonna gain stacking offense and health up to a certain threshold, but basically he becomes a monster. He's unkillable because of all the health and the defense he has. And he can solo teams. He can solo CLS in 1v5. I've seen video of that, you can look it up on YouTube. So he'll definitely be able to solo CLS, 2PO, and 3PO as well on offense. So that, just for that, I think that deserves an S tier. Very, very good character. He's also very annoying on defense, especially if your opponent is not aware of how this guy is. Like whenever you crit him, he loses all debuffs on him, so you cannot stun the guy. And whenever he takes damage, he gains something. He gains vulnerable, which makes him impossible not to crit, basically. So he wants to get crit because whenever you crit him, he loses all the debuffs on him. And he also gains an extra 10% turn meter whenever he gets damage, so that's 40% turn meter each time someone hits him. So, like, you just can't stop him unless you fracture him as well. So, very, very good. Zamwessel, unfortunately, she's excellent in 5v5. Between A tier and S tier, she allows bounty hunters to go first, and when they go first, it basically ensures that Mendo can nuke someone before the enemies move. Very, very good. 3v3, bounty hunters, they really perform when they are 5. So, I don't know, she's still useful. You can set her on defense with both Cleed and Boba. That's a rather annoying team to deal with. Lots of debuffs between her bombs and Boba's dots and ability blocks. And she still has a nice boost to stats, health, offense, protection, speed. So not entirely useless, but probably on par with Tusken Raider. Yeah, probably goes around here. So yeah, not the best in 3v3, but very, very good in 5v5. So I still think it's worth getting as an Omicron. Unless you're a hardcore fan of 3v3 and you don't care about 5v5. Next we have Wampa. Wampa, well, you know Wampa, he's definitely S tier, can solo a bunch of teams, can even 1v1 some Galactic Legends. He can solo a full SEE squad if there is no Malak, and he can 1v1 Rey. I've done it, I've tried it twice, I won once, I lost once, but basically when he goes in and there's only one enemy, the bonuses he gains are doubled. And with the proper modding, which is full house, that makes him tanky enough to survive a blade from Rey, even survive her ult, as long as you don't let her stack mastery. And the only way to do that is to crit her, remove Inspired. Right? Because a Rey lead states that Inspired allies gain stacking mastery whenever an enemy gains 10 meter. And Wampa, when he uses his basic, he gains 10 meter. When he rolls, he gains 10 meter. So if you don't remove Inspired from Rey, she's gonna stack mastery, hit too hard and kill you. And the only way to remove Inspired is she doesn't have critical hit immunity. And she's gonna get it if she starts the battle at full health because her life bond ability gives her critical hit immunity if she uses it while at full health. So if you want to 1v1 Rey with Wampa, you have to send the suicide team before to get Rey below full health, then you go in with Wampa, and this way she will not gain critical hit immunity, and in 3 hits she will be out of Inspired, and Wampa will be able to kill her and survive that damage. But yes, you can do that, which is really, really, really cool, because clearing Rey is really annoying when you fail to kill her whole team in one go. So yeah, that's a good one. And next, the 3 big Grand Arena units. We have Starkiller. His first special applies healing immunity. It's a very niche use. I mean, unless you really have nothing else to do with your Omicrons, don't apply it. It doesn't. Yeah, I'm probably gonna put it here. It's really not that good. This one is better. So what it does is it makes the ability dispel all buffs from all enemies instead of just the target. And the ability deals damage based on how many buffs you dispel. So it's a very nice boost to the damage of the ability as well as its usefulness. So this one probably goes here. If you want to put a second Omicron on Starkiller, this one is good. In 3v3, in 5v5 it's even better because you have 5 enemies you can dispel buffs from. And basically you can even try to one-shot the enemy team with that. So very, very good Omicron. And, I mean, very good, decent one. And this one obviously is probably, yeah, one of the best Omicrons in the game. I'm gonna put him here because Dash has his Datacron right now, but otherwise this one would go first. Complete game changer. You get to assist whenever Sisola uses a basic. You can take out Rey. I think Palpatine, Mara Jade, and this will even work in 3v3, especially with the cooldown reduction data set 4. So that's a very, very good Omicron here. And okay, moving on to Malgus. So this one makes him become kind of like Bastila Shandfallen. If the enemy target is shocked, then he's gonna deal 2 damage to everyone. And it also gives him 50% 10 meter, and the debuff from the ability can no longer be resisted. So that's definitely not the best one for Malgus. The 50% 10 meter gain is nice now that his data coin is gone. He cannot just keep jumping on enemies all the time. So that allows him to circle between his specials faster, but I don't think it's better than C tier. Omicron is... I wouldn't apply it, it doesn't really do that much. The true damage on AoE sounds good, but he's a tank, he doesn't deal any damage anyway, so dealing no damage on AoE is still no damage in the end. So yeah, just not that good of an Omicron. His lead, however, is excellent, right? He gains a bunch of extra health, protection, speed for all his Empire allies, very mastery stacking as well. They take reduced damage, so a lot of extra bonuses, which makes it another very good Omicron game changer as well. And his last one, this one is, so what it does is when doubt is dispelled, and only dispelled, mind you, not expires, only if it's dispelled, instead of being applied randomly on 2 other targets that did not have it, it gets applied on all other enemies who did not have it. So in 5v5 you could imagine a situation with a summon, so this one could apply it to up to 5 other enemies. In 3v3, however, it's only gonna be 2 others, and that's already part of the unique without the Omicron. So that's an Omicron that has no use in 3v3. And finally Ben. This ability I think is good. It applies healing immunity to the target for 4 turns, which is a very long time. And it also ignores protection if Galactic Legend Ray is the leader. So if you don't want your Ray to get killed by SEE, this Eternal Emperor, having this Omicron is probably gonna go a long way, because SEE with healing immunity for 4 turns, he might get ulted before he gets a chance to heal. Even if you bring him Watt, it's not gonna allow any protection recovery while this debuff is on here. And 4 turns, like I said, is a very long time, so Ben might be able to reapply it before SEE even got rid of it, because this ability also reduces his cooldowns by 1 per turn. So I think this is gonna hinder a couple of Ray counters, which makes it worthy of an A tier, in my opinion. The second one depends on what you want to do with Ben. If you want Ben for his utility, he applies defense down on the basic, he has the healing immunity here, he prevents Ray from dying if he's above 50% health, he cannot die while... he cannot die while Ray is alive. So a bunch of good stuff from... Ray cannot die while he's alive. Yeah, something like that. So if you want him for his utility side, then going for this Omicron is not going to do much, because what it does is it makes him ignore protection. So if you're not going to get him to at least Relic 7, even Relic 8, and then mod him full offense so that he can one-shot people, ignoring protection is not going to do much, because he doesn't deal that much damage. So this really depends on what you want out of him and how far you're ready to gear him up. If you keep him at like gear 12 just for the useful utility, this goes down. If you want him for damage, this goes up. So let's put him in the middle around here. Yeah, let's put him here. It's situational. And last but not least, this unique that makes him revive if there's another light side ally alive when the enemy leader takes a turn. So the revive is more annoying in 5v5 because there are more allies that he can revive from. In 3v3, if he's out, that's already only 2 enemies left. If Ray is out as well, that's only 1. So he's not gonna gain that much opportunities to come back. And the other thing that it does is when he comes back, all the team becomes immune to instant defeat abilities, such as Nihilus's ultimate, Jabba's ultimate, Mandalorian snipe, this kind of stuff. If he comes back after dying once, then the team will no longer be able to dive to that, but I think that's way too situational and never gonna work on defense unless your opponent is not aware of it. And on offense, even on offense, I don't see many usages for this ability, so I don't know. To me, the best ability is really the one that applies healing immunity. This one is Yeah, probably gonna be a B tier ability. And in 3v3 it's even gonna be, yeah, I would put it around here as well. And so, yeah, here we are. Here's the tier list that I think, that's how I would rank the Omicrons in 3v3. With a little question on Hondo and the two droids. I need to see them in action to really know what they're worth, but yeah, those really are the best ones. If you are looking for one to apply for 3v3 and you're missing one of them, I would really apply them. So thank you all for watching. I will stop the video now and I will be back soon for a video on Datacron Z5.